Located in a narrow water inlet that separates Europe and Asia, Istanbul is a city rooted in the most influential corners of history. Few cities can boast of having a past like theirs. A city once known as Byzantium, then Constantinople, Istanbul was once the capital of three great empires: the Roman Empire of the East, the Byzantine Empire, and the Ottoman Empire. Places like St. Sophia, the Blue Mosque, and the Grand Bazaar are legacies from that era. But folks, hold on a second, because all of that is, well, it's the past. Nowadays, Istanbul is a lively city that hosts more than 15 million inhabitants. It's the largest city in all of Europe, and it's also an important economic enclave. 1 out of every $3 of Turkey's GDP is generated here. And even though it barely hosts a fifth of the country's entire population, the Turkish government gets about half of all its tax revenue from Istanbul. So we're talking about Turkey's true economic engine here. It's a growing financial, logistics, commercial, and of course, a touristic hub.
Istanbul attracts 13.4 million foreign visitors in 2018.
However, in recent years, Istanbul has begun to be well known for a different kind of tourism, a very, very special kind of tourism. And it is as controversial as it is special. So maybe you've heard of medical tourism.
A high-flying tour.
Every year, hundreds of millions of people travel abroad to experience a new culture and enjoy the sun, the beach, the mountains, or the famous art and architecture. However, another type of unconventional but highly coveted tourism has recently gained popularity, and that's medical tourism. That is, traveling to another country to visit its monuments, its beaches, and in passing, just also fix anything that they may need fixed.
They usually come for 3 days. We offer them shopping or skiing tours. They get well and have a short vacation. Kazim Devranoglu, the medical head of Dunyago's group.
And I can already tell you that for many governments, starting with Turkey's, this is a priority. Now, of course, at this point, we need to answer two questions that many of you might be asking. The first is, why go to another country in search of medical treatment? Well, this has three very clear answers. The first is the price. Of course, if you have a medical procedure that isn't covered by your health insurance, price matters a great deal. For example, some interventions and treatments are much cheaper in Istanbul than they are in the United States. And when I say much cheaper, I mean much cheaper. They can be 50, 60, 70, even 80% cheaper. The second reason has to do with waiting lists. Yep, you may be covered by your health insurance or social security, but what about waiting lists? In public health systems such as those found in Spain or the United Kingdom, it's very common to have waiting lists which can be really quite long. This, of course, means that you have to wait a long time for your turn. But of course, what happens if you can't or you don't want to wait? Then you need to find something on your own. And in that scenario, the big international medical centers don't really have waiting lists, or they're much shorter.
The waiting time for a knee surgery in a Western country is 18 months, but is only 2 weeks at the most in Turkey. Emre A. Kodan, chairman of the Istanbul International Health Tourism Association.
Check out how the number of British medical tourists has grown. And the third reason is quality. Yep, you heard that right. When a place specializes in a particular treatment and does many patients, it tends to be better. You probably all know about Houston, Texas's medical center, which serves about 10 million patients every year and is one of the leading medical centers on the planet. In the end, these places have so many patients and so many resources that not only are they very good at their job, they also become engines of medical research and innovation. But we said that we had two questions. We already answered one, so, well, what's the second? The other question is, why exactly is this such an important activity for a country? Why would a government want to promote this type of activity? Why would it want to become an international healthcare center? What does it bring to a country? Well, think about it. Along with the traditional jobs that tourism creates, for example in the hotel industry, waiters, cooks, etc., medical tourism helps create a lot of highly qualified and well-paid jobs. Doctors, surgeons, nurses, laboratory personnel, medical device suppliers, etc.
I believe the city hospitals will become the focal points of health tourism. We are setting up special units in the city hospitals to specifically serve foreign patients. Turkish Health Minister Fahrettin Koca.
Due to the billing levels and the type of activity generated, medical tourism is like the Rolex of tourism. And on top of that, it doesn't have the problem of seasonality, unlike holiday tourism, which tends to concentrate within just a few months, usually during the summer. And it's precisely these reasons that have prompted the Turkish government to place great hope in medical tourism. A lot of hope and a lot of money in the form of incentives, fewer taxes, financing, aid, etc. And you know what? In a way, it does make a lot of sense. Allow me to explain. If Turkey is already a touristic power, it has hotels, infrastructure, all kinds of services, a lot of cultural attractions, and places like Istanbul are only 2 or 3 hours away by plane from the main cities of Europe and the East. So why not take advantage? Well, guys, so it was said, so it was done.
Turkey attracted nearly 1 million health tourists in 2018, industry official says.
And as I mentioned, this type of tourism leaves much more money in a country's pockets than regular holiday tourism. In 2018, medical tourists left more than $2 billion in Turkey. Thus, Turkey is already the third largest market in the world in terms of medical and health tourism. It stands only behind the United States and South Korea. So medical tourism in Turkey has multiplied by more than 10 in the last decade. Just in 2008 alone, they welcomed 75,000 people. In other words, the industry is skyrocketing.
Turkey's medical tourism industry boosts visitor numbers. When Turkey's traditional tourism industry dried up, the country turned to its medical sector to attract a new wave of visitors, business destinations.
Of course, all of this is just the beginning of what the government expects. The goal is to generate 5 times as much income from medical tourism by 2023, greatly exceeding the $10 billion barrier. And some within the government and the private sector are even more ambitious. Their goal is $20 billion. It's a huge business, and it also gives the country a large foreign currency inflow. Dental care, cosmetic surgery, fertility treatment, cardiovascular interventions, transplants, oncological treatments. Turkey, and particularly Istanbul, wants to become a world leader in international medical tourism. And in one way or another, this will be very good for all of us. Why? Well, listen up.
The cluster.
Istanbul is quickly becoming the world leader in several medical specialities, from ophthalmology to knee care and hair transplants. In some of these fields, it's already #1 on the entire planet. And it's that way because of price and because of innovation. Yep, you heard that right. It has to do with a logical and well-known market process called cluster creation. Allow me to explain. This happens when a site specializes in an activity and many competitors engage in the same activity. This causes everything in the area to somehow begin to revolve around that industry. The number of suppliers that compete with each other multiplies. Public administrations begin to facilitate things for this increasingly influential industry. Universities work with these companies, etc. This creates a more dynamic ecosystem, and it multiplies its innovation capacity. In other words, so to speak, Istanbul is becoming the Silicon Valley of cataracts and hair transplants for whoever might want them. All this might sound like a bit of a joke, but it really isn't. The city of Bosphorus already has hundreds of clinics that specialize in these types of activity. In many cases, we're talking about very new clinics with very advanced treatments, and it's estimated that by 2025, these types of interventions will move tens and tens of billions of dollars worldwide. Anyway, I think we can now understand news like this a bit better.
The global medical tourism market size is expected to reach $179.6 billion by 2026, registering a 21.9% CAGR during the forecast period.
So I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe for brand new videos. Also, don't forget to check out our friends at the Reconsider Media podcast. They provided the vocals in this episode that were not mine. Also, this channel is possible because of Patreon and our patrons on that platform. Please do consider joining them and supporting our mission of providing independent political coverage. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.